Good afternoon. My name is Tiamige Piri. Our top stories at this hour. CSOs
Hundreds of people gathered outside
South African
Parliament.
High Commissioner 24 hours to respond to petition on xenophobia. South Africa Army to tackle migrant attacks. Big Bullets demand beleaguered coach Ramadan should produce contract to put to rest controversy over his job. In news from elsewhere on the globe, former Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi sentenced to spend 20 years in jail for ordering the arrest and torture of protesters during his rule. Demonstrations called by civil society organizations against the ongoing xenophobic attacks in South Africa took place in the capital, Lilongwe. The protests coincide with a call for Malawians to boycott South African shops and services on Friday and Saturday. The marchers presented a petition to the South African High Commission calling for an immediate end to the attacks. The CSOs have since labeled the xenophobic attacks as apartheid. Robert Kalua reports.
Hundreds of people gathered outside Parliament building in Lilongwe Tuesday morning dressed in black, ready for the xenophobic protest. The Tuesday protest aimed at fighting for human rights for Malawians who have been attacked in South Africa in what is known as xenophobic attacks. Speaking to ZBS after handing over the petition to South African Consulate in Lilongwe, Center for Human Rights Executive Director Mr. Timothy Mtambo said they have given the South African government 48 hours to respond to their demands or there will be consequences.
What is happening in South Africa is a crime against humanity and is unacceptable in a democratic society like we are. We have given an ultimatum of 48 hours. 48 hours elapses on Friday. And if nothing is being done, because our demand is xenophobia should stop and should stop today, not tomorrow. So if nothing is being done, we don't see any serious action from the South African government, from the SADC heads of states. We, the civil society and the citizens of this country, are going to decide to boycott anything that is in South African in nature. We are not doing that by revenge, but we are sending a message to say it is not in order in a democratic society we are to be treating each other in such inhuman treatment. And if we discover that they are not committed, even the South African court system, even the government, they are not committed, we have other platforms like the ICC. Malawi is a signatory to the ICC.
In her response, South African ambassador to Malawi, Cassandra Mbuyane Mokone, said she was grieved by what her fellow South Africans are doing and she will make sure the petition reaches Pretoria to the higher office. Meanwhile, the CSOs in the country have appealed to civil society organizations in South Africa to promote the rights of migrants by contributing to civic and human rights education in order to enhance values of equality. For Zodiak in Lilongwe, this is Robert Kalua.
In a related development, the Consumers Association of Malawi says it will on Friday lead a consumer boycott of all shops owned by South Africans as demonstration of dismay with the attacks that Malawians suffered in South Africa, Kama Executive Director explains. In news just coming in, South African Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa says the South African Army will be deployed to end a wave of attacks on foreigners. Soldiers would be deployed to Alexandra Township, north of the main city of Johannesburg, the minister said. A reminder that you're watching the news on Zodiac live from our studios in Lilongwe. My name is Tiamige Piri. We have more news after the break. Welcome back. Before we proceed, another look at our main stories. CSOs give South African High Commissioner 24 hours to respond to petition on xenophobia. South Africa Army to tackle migrant attacks. In sports, Big Bullets demand beleaguered coach Ramadan should produce contract to put to rest controversy over his job. And in news from elsewhere on the globe, former Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi sentenced to spend 20 years in jail for ordering the arrest and torture of protesters during his rule. Moving on with our stories, the Catholic Church says the xenophobic attacks on migrants in South Africa are criminal and retrogressive to the civilization that the global village is promising in the current era. In a statement issued by the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace, CCJP, of the Episcopal Conference of Malawi, the Church says it is saddened and shocked by the resurgence of xenophobic attacks targeted at innocent non-South Africans. Christy Soni is National Secretary for the CCJP in Malawi.
What we have done is to issue a statement categorically condemning these attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa, taking into consideration that it is a violation of the rights of human beings, the dignity of human beings, and the sanctity of life, regardless of what sort of a challenge South Africans are facing in their socio-economic lives. I think xenophobia is not supposed to be a solution to their problems.
Now, the number of Malawians affected by xenophobic attacks or violence in South Africa has now increased from 1,050 to 3,200. What lessons do we learn from this?
This is not the first time the xenophobic attacks have surfaced in South Africa. And you remember very well that 2 years ago, Malawi government also embarked on a repatriation program to repatriate Malawian citizens from South Africa. And this has resurfaced. Preceding this as well is the bringing down of the statue of Cicero John Rhodes. It tells you that probably in the current generation of South Africans, they can easily defer their anger on foreign nationals, thinking that these are the sources or the causes of their problems that they're facing in their countries.
The Malawi Law Society has petitioned the Chief Justice and the Malawi Supreme Court of Appeal to send 2 additional judges to Mzuzu Registry in a period of 21 days. MLS Mzuzu Chapter President Mr. Victor Gondwe says the presence of only 1 judge at Mzuzu Court Registry has stalled a lot of cases in court. Steve Zimba has filed this report.
The petition by Malawi Law Society MLS Mzuzu Chapter has also been copied to its President, Office of the President and Cabinet, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the Attorney General, the Solicitor General, among other authorities. The legal practitioners said they want at least 2 judges to Mzuzu District Registry in order to reduce pressure of work on one and only judge at the city's High Court, Justice Dingiswayo Madise. MLS Mzuzu Chapter President Mr. Victor Gondwe said when Justice Madise is outside the northern region attending some administrative and judicial commitments, more cases in the High Court are unattended. Mr. Gondwe added that the issue of sending another judge to Mzuzu District Registry dates back in 2010, but there has not been any response from authorities, a thing he said denies many Malawians access to speedy trial. The lawyers are wondering in the document as to why only Mzuzu High Court is understaffed in terms of judges, despite that it also saves some Malawians in Lilongwe and Blantyre. The only judge at the Mzuzu District Registry, Justice Dingiswayo Madise, said the petition will be delivered to relevant authorities for action. The lawyers in Mzuzu have given the authorities 21 days to respond, failing which they will sit down and agree what to do next. For Zodiak in Mzuzu, this is Steve Zimba reporting.
We now turn to sports news. It looks like in sports, Big Bullets coach is still in trouble. Big Bullets Football Club says the fate of team coach Nswazirimo Ramadan will be known when he produces the contract he was offered on taking up the assignment. Ramadan, who joined Bullets this year, stopped reporting for duties after some supporters allegedly attacked him for being a close friend to former chairman Gonde Msungama. Club Vice General Secretary Tita Mandiza, however, says legally Ramadan remains coach for the outfit.
The issue of Ramadan is very controversial. What I can say now is that Ramadan is still the coach. Because if I take you back, the former chair, he said on the radio that Ramadan, he just come here to assist on CAF. But last week, he called us. He had so many problems. He said since he was here, he didn't receive any money from Boris. But he signed a contract with Boris. So we don't know which is which. Because the time he was signing the contract, we were not involved.
What should supporters know about Mr. Nswazirimo Ramadan? Is he still the coach? If he's back on his bed, are you going to allow him to go and start drilling the boys at the Big Press Football Club?
As of now, what I can tell the supporters is that Ramadan is still the coach until we solve this issue. He said he cannot go there because he's still sick. But when he's okay, we're expecting him to go back at the field of play.
And if he has that contract, it means he'll stay up until to the last day of his contract?
Yes, because that is a legal document.
Let's now move to international news. An Egyptian court has sentenced former President Mohamed Morsi to 20 years in jail for ordering the arrest and torture of protesters during his rule. It is the first verdict he has received since his ousting and is one of the several trials he faces. Morsi was deposed by the army in July 2013 following mass street protests against his rule. That's about what we had time for this afternoon, but before we go, another look at some of our major stories. CSOs give South African High Commissioner 24 hours to respond to petition on xenophobia. South Africa arming to tackle migrant attacks. Big Bullets demand beleaguered coach Ramadan should produce contract to put to rest controversy over his job. Here is about what we had time for. My name is Etiamige Pidi. Good afternoon.